Good morning. Welcome back to the Retirement Report. I'm Hank Parrott, your host. All right, I was going to talk about annuities. I'm going to get to a caller here in a moment, but these are just a few of the articles, positive articles with regard to both fixed and index type annuities, and among other types that we've talked about. And the one about fixed annuities, fixed index annuities continuing their surge. More and more people are recognizing the value of fixed index annuity as they learn about them and how it can benefit them. And so you've seen the increase in sales of index annuities go up dramatically. In fact, billions and billions of dollars. Index annuity sales in 2015 totaled $54 billion. That's up from $48 billion in 2014. It's more than double what it was over the last 6 or 7 years, from $25 billion. So as they're becoming more known, and as the products are improving as well, and more indices are being made available that are providing some great hedges against down markets. So I'm going to get into that in a moment, but first we will talk to Sandy. Sandy, welcome to the Retirement Report. Cindy? Oh, I lost him. Okay, sorry. Sorry to miss you. Was it Cindy? Okay. Cindy, I'm sorry that I didn't get to your call. If you want to call back, I'll take it. All right, but we're going to jump right into fixed index annuities. So the first one I'm going to talk about is a gentleman by the name of Professor Robert Shiller. Dr. Shiller won the Nobel Prize. He's a professor at Yale, economist, won the Nobel Prize in economics in 2013 for his equity research and for developing what's known as the Cape-Shiller Index. It's been a very accurate predictor of stock market returns. All right, he paired up with Barclays. Okay, so this is the slide we want to get up. And Dr. Shiller, basically, with Barclays, developed what's known as what we have now as a Shiller Index that is being made available through a company called Athene, an insurance company. All right, so here's how this works. I'm going to explain a little bit. This is the slide. On the next slide, what Dr. Shiller does is he breaks out the market. I talked about asset allocation all the time, meaning like large companies, small companies, and breaking out the market in that way. All right, so this one is about how he breaks it out in market sectors instead. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop in the middle since we got Cindy back, and I want to be, let me grab her call real quick, and then we'll come back to the market sectors. Hi, Cindy. How you doing this morning?
Hi, good morning. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. Welcome to how can I help?
I have two questions. The first one, I'm going to ask, I'd like you to answer it last. So the second question is about money markets. I was thinking, as you were speaking earlier,
right?
Wanting to get interest. The goal is to get interest on your investment.
Yeah.
But whether or not
you might want to turn your TV down. I can hear it in the background there, and it's on a delay, so it's gonna mess you up here.
Okay. I was wondering whether or not having your Social Security check deposited into a money market account
is
a good idea. And then the other question has to do, you mentioned that annuities were risky because, the organizations could go into bankruptcy, et cetera. So why would you even recommend fixed index annuities?
Well, no, I didn't say that they were risky about bankruptcy. What I was talking about on bankruptcy had to do actually with municipal bonds. We have actual municipalities. We have cities and counties around our country, and we even a couple of states now that are in trouble as far as bankruptcy goes. They've gone into bankruptcy, meaning that the bondholders are at risk of losing much, if not all, of their money. All right, so I was talking about the risk there. And index, when you're looking at insurance companies, on the other hand, you insure your car, you insure your life, you insure your income, say through, possibly through annuities or through disability. You insure your home. Okay, so most of our assets are backed by insurance companies. Insurance companies have the money and the reserves, the cash on hand, to deal with that. And that's part of what I'm going to cover here is why annuities, in fact, especially, fixed annuities are extremely safe. They're, to my mind, I believe, safer than banks with regard to, as far as CDs, for instance. But
okay, good. Well, tell me about that money market idea I had to have you deposit.
Whether you deposit your Social Security check in a checking account or money market account, either one is fine. If you're using that check, though, for your income each month to pay your bills, then it should be going into the account that you pay your bills from.
But wouldn't the money market at least give you a little bit of interest, more interest?
Today, not so much. I mean, you may find some, but it's such a small fraction of a percent that it's really not going to make much of a difference with regard to. It's not going to make any difference, really, with regard to how you deposit your money, especially if this is money that you're just putting in and then paying right out through the course of the month.
Okay. Well, thanks so much. I'll listen to the rest of your comments.
All right. Thank you. All right. This is one of the things when it comes to, let me explain about insurance. There's a thing called the fractional reserve system. Fractional reserve has to do with banks. In other words, if you put money in a bank, they can keep 3 cents to 10 cents on the dollar in reserve. The rest of that they can go ahead and lend out to others and use in other ways to run their operations, whatever it is. So only about 3 to 10% of your money is actually kept in reserve. With an insurance company, on the other hand, when you invest, let's say, you put your money in an annuity as an example, fixed annuity, fixed index. This does not apply to variable. Again, variable is a whole different thing. We're going to take variable off the table. If you have a variable annuity, you might want to come in and see me and and what I'll do with you, just to help with this variable annuity, rather than me just talking about them as I do on air, of course, we'll call the annuity company. All right, in my office, we'll sit in a conference room, we'll call the annuity company and walk through. I'll know the questions to ask so that you'll get straight answers to exactly how that annuity works, what your costs are with that annuity, what the fees are, if you've got riders, how those riders works, what the little gotchas, if you will, might be in there, to make sure, in fact, it's what you think you have, okay? So, again, for the first 10 callers, that's one of the things you'll benefit from. Here's what I'll try to do for variable annuities today, again, which is the majority of the annuities out there. Let's take those off the table. We're just going to stick with fixed annuities. There's the fixed I talked about, which are like CDs, and you have these guarantees in there that your principal and your interest are guaranteed, and you're going to get that money back. Then we have what are called fixed index annuities. Fixed index annuities also have that same guarantee of principal protection. Now, this is where they can differ quite a bit, though. So let's get the slide up. Let me do general first. So here's how they can differ. One, they can have caps. They can have participation rates. There's a lot of moving parts potentially there that can limit what you get. All right, what we're ideally looking for is one that will not have a cap as far as what your earnings are, that the participation rate is high, like 100% or even more sometimes, and that if they're going to have a spread, it's a small one, so that we're getting as much of that market index as possible when it goes up, with downside protection that if it goes down, our principal is protected. All right, we're going to show some different indices then that are being utilized within index annuities today. This next one, again, I talked about Dr. Schiller. Here's one that is put through Athene, the Schiller Index. And here we're doing, again, market sectors. Okay, so with market sectors, here's what that looks like again. We'll go ahead and get this one up. All right, with market sectors, we break it out again differently than asset categories. The market sectors in the, when we look at the stock market, are things like financials, healthcare, consumer discretionary, consumer staples, utilities. Those are how there are 10 market sectors total. I think I mentioned financials, healthcare, industrials, material, real estate, technology. So this is breaking the stock market out into 10 distinct sectors. Now they look at those 10 sectors and they look at how they've performed over the last 12 months in this particular product. They then look at that performance over the last 12 months and they narrow down those 10 sectors to 5, and then the market sector of those 5 with the least momentum is identified, and that one is then dropped, and they go with the top 4 with regard to momentum is what they're looking for, those market sectors that are going up, and that's the portfolio for that month, and in each and every month they do that again. All right, we're going to stop there for a moment. We're going to have to take a break. One of the things I want to talk to you about with regard to how this works is how it can protect you, okay? How these, in fact, the goal of this is when the stock market is up, you'll notice when they show on TV, right, the big board with all the S&P 500 stocks on it, and they're red and green depending on whether the stock is up or down. The stock market may be up, and yet you'll still see a lot of red blocks, right, a lot of stocks that are down. And the stock market can be down, and you'll still see green stocks, right, stocks that are up. What we want to do is, in fact, this momentum strategy is one to identify those and ride that momentum. Okay, that's the concept behind the indices I'm going to be sharing with you today, that being one of them. But first, another break. So we're going to take a quick break. Join us here. We'll be right back on the Retirement Report.